welcome to Tune of the Month and happy December. This month I have for you a wonderful French-Canadian reel by request. This is a classic that I've loved my whole life. It's called The Mouth of the Tobique, and I play it in the style of Don Messer and Graham Townsend, the grand Maritime tradition of Canadian dance reels. For those of you just listening, I hope that brightened your day, and I'll see you next month. And for those of you who are ready to learn, you know what to do. All right, so fellow fiddlers and of all instruments, I should say, we are in the key of G major. And if you're listening with your Tune of the Month ears for the structure of the tune, it may sound a little bit like a three-part tune, A, B, C, B. And some people actually talk about this tune like that. I don't really think about it like that because that C part is really just a shuffle variation on the A. And that's probably the cool part that hooked your ears with this tune. I know it was mine. We'll get to that in a second. First we need the tune itself. Here's the A part. I'll slow it down. Probably just go back and rewind this video to hear that slow version and just play that over and over and learn it, because there is nothing in this tune that we haven't covered already in previous Tune of the Month videos. It's part 1, part 2, part 1, and an ending. Totally classic. And each part is very much based on the arpeggios and the scales of the chords, which we've also talked about. So let's just break that down for the fun of it. The first part's in G major. I have a little pickup. That's all just G major stuff. That's just a little scale stuff. There's a little skip in there to make it fun. Do that for the scaly bit plus the fun bit. And now just arpeggios. Now, the trick is for those arpeggios, to make them quick and clean, what I'm doing, of course, is leaving my first finger down on my A string. Because I just keep coming back to it. Why would I pick it up and put it down? You remember I call that a glue finger, because I'm gluing it down onto my fingerboard. Makes things much faster and easier. Okay, so let's put all of that part 1 together. G major starts with a little scale, little skip, and arpeggio. Part 2 is very easy. It's all based on the D chord, of course the 5 chord of G. We're going to go down the scale, up the arpeggio, and back to G we come. Yeah! down the D major scale. Now up the D7 arpeggio, D dominant 7, and then we land in a G major arpeggio. And just for practice, I glue my first finger down there too. Do part 2 again, D major down the scale, arpeggio, land G major. Now you know what to do. Of course, part 1 comes back to G major. Now, the ending, of course, is going to start just like part 2, down that scale, up the arpeggio, and then a little French ending. Or, depend on which you like. So I always bow that down, up, down, because that gives it the nice little kind of hiccupy feel with the up. Right, and that's a very French sound to put into something. Well, guess what? That's the whole A section already. Let's put it together. Part 1. Part 2, down the scale. D7, back to G major. Part 1. Ending, down the scale, D7, French. There you are. Now, of course, you might like some more mileage on that A section. Well, that's what the rewind button is for. You can go back and play that A section as many times as you need, and it'll get easier and easier. All right, but right now, I'm going to continue to the B section. Here it goes a little bit slowly. Now, you already know how extremely classic the form of this tune is. Listen for part 1, part 2, part 1 ending, which may or may not contain anything that's familiar from the A section. No spoilers. I really hope you heard familiar material there. All right, so let's start with this part 1. This is, of course, not familiar. It's new because it's the B section. Yeah, so it sounds pretty noodly. It's mostly just neighbor tones. Oh, I start on this high G. And it's mostly all scales. Lower neighbor, higher neighbor, and a little skip to finish. Do that again, the noodlies. And then I have a little D major arpeggio. And that's all part 1 of the B section. Put it together, the noodly neighbors. D major. Now, part 2 is the part that should have sounded really familiar. That's almost identical to the A section. Now, the A section started with the scale, right? This one, we're up high, so we actually have to traverse more ground. So instead of using the scale, we're just going to use an arpeggio. Try it again. Start on your E string, and it's down the D7 arpeggio, and right back up. And a little scale in G major to land. Do it one more time. Part 2. Just like part 2, with a French ending. Wow, it always fast when you know the A section and the structure. Let's do that whole B section together. Starts with the noodly neighbors. D major. Part 2. Back to part 1. For all intents and purposes, that is the whole tune, the A section and the B section. You may have noticed I'm not talking about bowing so much in this video, but I'm using the classic French-Canadian, what I call the hook 3 slurs. If you don't know what those are, it just means you're newer to Tune of the Month. We've talked all about them in previous videos. You can go check them out on any other French-Canadian tune that we did, like the Halifax Hornpipe, or there are a couple others that I'm not remembering at the moment. Halifax Hornpipe's a good one though. If you don't know that, you can go back and check that out. Yeah, so let's look at the cool part, this C section, quasi-C section, which is really just an A variation that has the double shuffle. Now, I do not believe that we have discussed double shuffles in detail on the Tune of the Month yet, and this is a perfect excuse to do it. All right, so I'll go slowly. You notice why I don't really think that's a C section. Because it's basically just the A. The only thing that I've done is instead of playing the theme of part 1, I've replaced it with a double shuffle. Alright? Now if you've done those before, that's really, really easy. It's just a standard G major double shuffle. Right? And if you've never done them before, they always sound so fancy, don't they? Well, the good news is they're not difficult at all to play these double shuffles. Mostly it's about glue finger. In this case, my third finger here. Now, what a double shuffle does is it creates a little bit of a syncopation, doing groups of 3 notes over a feel of groups of 4 notes, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, right? And that actually comes out evenly as if we were just playing groups of 4. Now, did you notice when I was bowing that in the air, the accents are on the 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? And I end up with that 1 extra note at the end. You also notice that to make those 3 stick out, I was using a little more air bow on them, right? Air violin. And that the accents reverse direction. So do this with me for a second. Count it out loud and bow it in the air. Use very little bow, air bow, on the 1s and 2s, and then on 3, really move your arm to create that accent. And you'll notice that the 3s are going to change direction. Down bow, up bow, down bow, up bow. Watch. Start down bow. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Sometimes with my students that I coach at home, we call those big little bowings. Little, big, little, big, little, big, little, big, little, big, end. Right? And you feel how they're reversing direction? That's what makes this actually really easy. All right, so let's put some left hand to that bow. I just play the same pickup, down, down. So all those notes, the base of this shuffle is that 3rd finger G. I glue it the whole time. And all my 1, 2s are on just that note. Now for the 3, I cross over to pick up my A string a little bit. I've already got my 1st finger glued there. So I have this 1, 3 double stop. It's a 3rd. Now I could just stay there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. could just stay on that chord. And in fact, a lot of double shuffles in other tunes do that. The thing that makes the Mouth of the Tobique sound really cool is that I'm changing that chord just slightly, because every other time I'm alternating between having my first finger on the top voice and my second finger, right? So watch what I do. One, second finger, pick it up, back to second finger. Did you get that alternation? Try one more time. 1, 2, 3. So it's not difficult at all, it's just really an exercise in coordination if you've never done that before. So what you might want to do is rewind the video a number of times and just practice that double shuffle pattern over and over. If it's your first shuffle, the only time you ever have to really practice a shuffle is your first one. Once you get the hang of it, they start to be really easy, and then you can put them anywhere in any tune and change the chords and all that stuff. It's the same principle the whole time. 1, 2, down, up, down, up, down. That's all there is to it. Alright, so I'm going to assume that you've practiced that shuffle or that it's already feeling good, and let's play the C section of Mouth of the Tobique. All we're going to do is we're going to play the A section, but instead of part 1, the theme, we're going to use the shuffle in its place. Give it a try. Starts with the shuffle. Part 2, down the scale. Aha! Back to the shuffle. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1. Ending. And that is all there is to it. So, Mouth of the Tobique, whether you call it the C section or the A variation, let it be an inspiration to you of how easy it is to drop a shuffle pattern in place of a part 1 melody, really in any tune. You could go figure this out. It works great for tunes that kind of sit on the same chord for the whole first part. We've done a million of them on Tune of the Month. And you can see why, because it's kind of nice and steady and you can get into grooving the rhythm as opposed to having to worry about changing a bunch of chords. So, gee whiz, go through your tune arsenal and see how many you can do this with. Drop in a shuffle in place of part 1, call it a variation. Who knows, maybe somebody will hear you do it and decide that you've invented a C part. Alright, so I hope that's been fun. As always, if you'd like to have sheet music for this and all future tunes of the month, you can sign up to be a part of my email newsletter. Go to my website, www.mariblack.com, and hit newsletter and sign right up. And if you're already a member, this tune will already be in your inbox. And if you're new, future tunes are coming your way. Thank you all for joining me for a tune, and I'll see you, I guess, in the new year. Have a good one.